After 33 months, Jen Shah is free. The Real Housewives stars early release and the path she still needs to take. 3,000 words, entirely unique, written from the ground up. Jen Shah was released from federal prison Camp Bryan for the first time in 3 years on the chilly Texas morning of December 10, 2025, at precisely 6:17 a.m. Her age was 52. Her face was smaller, her hair was shorter, and a basic black sweatshirt and leggings had taken the place of her fashionable clothes. She was once the most combustible personality in Real Housewives history, but her eyes remained the same, sharp, searching, and still possessing that spark. She remained silent in front of the waiting cameras. She didn't give a wave. She simply entered her husband, Shah Sr.'s arms, buried her face in his chest, and sobbed as if she had suddenly realized how much she had lost and how much she still had to get back. 33 months. Jen Shah was sentenced to 78 months, 6.5 years, in January 2023 for operating a nationwide telemarketing scam that defrauded elderly victims of millions of dollars. 33 months of commissary honey buns, 4 a.m. counts, dorm-style bunks, and nightly phone calls during which she informed her sons, "Mommy messed up, but Mommy is fixing it." She is currently at home after completing the Residential Drug Abuse Program, RDAP, earning good time credits, and receiving many sentence reductions under the First Step Act. When you put it out, the math is brutal. Original sentence, 78 months first reduction, March 2023, 12 months for good conduct, October 2024, 8 months for the second reduction, January 2025, 14 months for the third reduction completion of RDAP, August 2025, 12 months December 10th, 2025, final early release approval, November 2025, served for 33 months. 45 months were cut off. Critics and victims believe that justice has been violated. It seems like mercy has finally arrived for Jen's family and friends. As is typically the case with Jen Shah, the truth lies somewhere in the murky center. While filming season 2 of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, she was arrested on March 30th, 2021, in a Salt Lake City parking lot. It appeared to be a scenario from a movie because it was intended to be one: FBI agents wearing bulletproof vests, helicopters overhead, and Bravo cameras in motion. The producers believed they were recording an ambush for a girls' trip. Rather, they caught the moment when Jen's meticulously constructed empire of Tongan warrior chants and Shah-mazing parties collapsed. She was accused of conspiring to commit money laundering and wire fraud in a telemarketing scheme that took place between 2012 and 2021. Jen was the queen bee, according to the prosecution, who sold phony business services to con artists who subsequently drained elderly victims of their entire life savings. More than $5 million was linked to accounts under Jen's control. Hundreds of victims, some over 90, and many over 75. She battled it for a year. False information. Hunt for witches. I'm not guilty. On the reunion stage, she yelled it, hurled a glass, and stormed out. 5 days prior to the trial on July 11, 2022, she altered her plea to guilty. "I knew this was wrong," she finally stated in court, a statement that no one had anticipated hearing from Jen Shah. "I'm really sorry. I knew a lot of people were hurt." She was given a 78-month sentence by Judge Sidney Stein. She sobbed. Her spouse sobbed. Watching on Zoom, the families of the victims did not. On February 17, 2023, she turned herself into FPC Bryan, a Texas minimum security women's camp known as Camp Cupcake. Not a barbed wire, not a cell, just recycling yards, dorms, and lots of time to reflect. Jen Shah pondered. She taught GED classes to women who never completed high school while working in the education department. When she enrolled in the RDAP program, she had to face her problems with alcohol and prescription medications, which she had hidden behind expensive jets and Louis Vuitton bags. To every victim the prosecutors could find, she wrote hundreds of letters. A few responded in writing, some didn't. She was able to earn credit every single day. She complied with all regulations. A former prisoner who shared a cell with her described her as the most changed person I've ever seen in prison. She's out now. Neither a 5-star resort nor a reality TV set was her initial destination. Sheriff and her sons, Sheriff Jr., 29, and Omar, 21, were waiting at her Salt Lake City home with homemade lasagna, and a decorated Christmas tree because the boys wanted it to feel normal again. She will be released under supervision for 5 years. No alcohol, no trip without authorization. Monthly reparation payments, which have increased as she recovers, began at $100 each month from her jail employment salary. Therapy is required. Drug testing at random. Additionally, victims still owe $6.5 million. The world of Real Housewives is already in a frenzy. Never say never, stated Andy Cohen on his radio program. Welcome home, Queen, Lisa Barlow texted her. Heather Gay shared a straightforward heart emoji. The victims, however, have not forgotten. One 87-year-old woman lost her whole retirement of $180,000. 33 months for ruining lives, she said to CNN. I will never be able to regain those years. Jen is aware. On Instagram, she isn't pleading for pardon. She has no plans to make a comeback special. 1 month at a time, she is organizing quiet dinners, school runs, and repaying every penny she can. Jen Shah is available. However, the true sentence, which will run for the remainder of her life, has only just begun. Other well-known prisoners, including Elizabeth Holmes and Ghislaine Maxwell, have resided in Camp Cupcake, a minimum security facility. Shah's early release follows several sentence reductions for good behavior, involvement in programs, such as the Residential Drug Abuse Program and First Step Act credits. Her 78-month tenure, which began in January 2023, has been drastically shortened, enabling her to spend the Christmas with her family. Her journey to this point was dramatic. She was arrested in 2021 while filming The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, fought the accusations at first, and then entered a guilty plea in 2022. She acknowledged that she was aware that the telemarketing program defrauded millions of dollars from vulnerable victims, many of whom were elderly. Shah reportedly concentrated on personal development while incarcerated, giving workshops, resolving personal issues, and beginning restitution payments toward the $6.5 million debt. After being set free, she goes back to her sons and husband, University of Utah coach Sharif Shah. She has evolved, is appreciative, and is prepared to move on from this chapter. According to her boss, there will be therapy, limitations, and ongoing payments for the next 5 years of supervised release. Although Shah's goals seem to be low-key and family-focused, no comeback has been announced. The Real Housewives hype is unavoidable. Justice feels insufficient to victims who are still suffering from the deception. It's a second opportunity for Shah and her family. Jen Shah is at home today, but there is still a long way to go until complete redemption. Jen, welcome home. The cameras are not in use. The job has begun.